So Gundam G Quuuuuux finished today.
And since I'm still hard at work trying to get that depressing video essay done, I wanted to check in with you guys just to kind of give our initial thoughts on this new Gundam series being finished. Because it's been
A ride?
It's been a ride, yeah.
Since January, we've had a very interesting time.
Yeah. We went to go see the theatrical screening of the
film.
The
first
film.
First quote unquote 3 episodes.
Yeah, the footage that ended up being the first 3 episodes plus a little bit of episode 8. It'll make sense, I promise.
How they cut it up is weird.
How they cut it up was weird. I'm still debating over which edit I like more, the TV version or the film version.
I'm a brow bro girly.
Yeah. So I guess since this is us reflecting on how the show turned out, spoilers ahoy, I guess. I don't know if we can really discuss it without.
There's no way to discuss Quuuuuux without spoilers.
Yeah.
And we will be talking about things from the theatrical version, and I'm sorry that that's not available.
Hopefully
available. It'll be soon.
G-Kids is pretty good about physical releases, and the thing that gave me a little bit of hope is, on one hand, I know Sunrise can be a pain in the ass about that, but on the other hand, their physical release of Dandadan is insanely inexpensive, so fingers crossed that Quuuuuux will get the same treatment.
And the magical part there is that there are enough differences that both versions are worth watching. I do think I like the movie version more.
That's fair. And I think if you don't want any, if somehow you've avoided spoilers up to this point and you don't want any spoilers, I'll say that I think this is worth your time. I think this is worth watching.
If you want to watch Gundam and haven't watched Gundam and you're watching our channel, what are you doing here?
Yeah, it's weird that you're here right now. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Stop. Just stop. Don't watch G Quuuuuux. Go and watch Universal Century.
Go watch the original Mobile Suit Gundam. It's on Crunchyroll. And also the movie versions are on Gundam.info right now.
And
just watch that, please.
And Char's Counterattack.
At the very least, watch those two.
Those two things are the necessary reading for this.
Because if you don't know the original series pretty well, this show is going to be impenetrable.
Yeah.
It will not make any sense. The TV version fakes you out and makes you think that, oh, this is going to be a good show for newcomers. It's not.
No.
Don't worry, it's not.
No. As much as I want to say Zeta is important, it only half-ass important.
Yeah, there's some visual gags and a really good music cue that you'll miss.
There are a couple visual gags and music cues that are important only if you've watched Zeta and Double Zeta, but
yeah, the absolute required reading, it is merciless if you don't know the original Gundam well.
And there are also jokes from the novels.
Yeah, there's stuff from that stuff isn't required reading, but it makes
there's a whole bunch of extra materials that you can. We'll have a list.
There will be a list, yes.
There will be a list. In fact, it'll probably be on screen right now. Why not?
G Quuuuuux, will say, I'll say this much, now that you're probably uncomfortable with being in spoiler territory if you're still watching. So what sets this one apart is that this is both an alternate universe and a Universal Century show. Because it's a what if set in the Universal Century timeline.
Hey, Gundam Evolve fans.
Um,
We did one that's 12 episodes. Hi.
basically.
It's a 12 episode Gundam Evolve.
Yeah, except with, uh, actually more than 1/4 of it is engaging.
No
Oops.
references to the ball.
So,
Although I think Char coming out with the ball would have been so funny.
my G Quuuuuux, my Shin Gundam is real video, I actually talked about because there were rumors that this is literally what it was going to be. Like the rumors about this being an alternate timeline where Char stole the Gundam, where Red Gundam was a thing and where Zeon won the war. Those rumors actually started circulating before the movie hit theaters, which is kind of crazy. But and I guess there were hints there. We saw
that was absolutely planted in terms of conspiracies, I think.
The police Zaku was in the first trailer. You see the unmistakable front of the Sodon, aka White Base. So yeah, like
but it's green.
It's green. So here we are in this alternate timeline where Zeon, saying that they won the war, it feels too generous, even though that's what the series goes with too.
Saying that Revel conceded.
Yeah,
is more correct.
Yeah, so Zeon the Federation ran out of resources. Zeon ran out of resources. We're basically it got to a stalemate and Zeon won.
All the resources went into Big Zoms.
They're now a fascist dictatorship floating around Earth. Side 6 is more or less subservient to them because they're the government that's closer to them.
Yeah.
So already a kind of a weird setup.
Dozel's gone.
Yeah, Dozel died. Sayla killed him. That's cool.
That's neat. Garma's still alive. Makuve's still alive. Kusilia and Girin are still alive.
And perhaps wildest of all, a whole bunch of characters who we see Amuro kill in the original series apparently made it out, including one of the main characters of the show and the central mentor figure of the storyline is Chalia Bull. The new type Chalia Bull.
Baby girl.
A guy who was in one episode of the original series.
Baby girl Chalia Bull.
And we get Chalia Bull gets to be a main, like literally the mentor guy. The Brow Bro, albeit sporting a different name.
Kikaroga.
The Kikaroga, and
wild new look.
Some of you Gundam perverts, if you know what a Kikaroga is, high five. Or what it was before this, high five, I should say.
You weird nerd.
But you're definitely...
I'm kink shaming you.
I kind of am too, even though I also know what a Kikaroga is. But still, yeah. So there's that. There's some really cool, like they actually put a lot of thought into the world building that I kind of dig.
I'm just happy that there's one other person out there who is like, what if Chalia Bull survived?
And he's like when we meet him, he's the captain, or not the captain, the consulting commander on the Sodon, which is the Zeon captured White Base. And at the beginning of when the story, we get a hefty amount of One Year War backstory.
Lots.
In the movie, it's front-loaded right at the beginning. In the TV version...
It's later on.
Yeah. But we know Char went missing with his Red Gundam.
Yeah, almost immediately after, finding out that his sister killed Dozel.
Yeah.
In the most fun way possible, with the Gundam hammer.
Yeah.
which is into Gundam Hammer.
I guess it's just a hyper hammer or a, I don't know, but it's really
still
cool.
a Gundam Hammer.
So we're in this. It's now 0085, and our main character is Amate Yuzuriya, aka Machu. Machu kind of rocks. I like her a lot.
You know, she's got Lauren beat on one thing.
Yeah.
It's a spoiler, but 0 kill streak.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Machu gets to be this. Machu is this little.
She has like a 100% win streak and a 0 kill streak.
She's a little gremlin. She's an angry little gremlin.
She's like if my cat could pilot.
She's from a very privileged background, but she has a very, very, very developed sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
And that's, I would say she's cut from a very similar cloth to someone like Camille. Albeit less neurodivergent coded and more rage coded.
But definitely is lovesick.
Yeah. And that
in need of affection.
Very much so. You can tell she feels very alienated from most of what's around her.
She's okay, of the children who we encounter in Gundam.
Uh-huh.
She's the most like Quest.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
In skill set and personality.
Mm-hmm. She just doesn't have she doesn't have a weird fascist grooming her. She has a reluctant fascist mentoring her, which is shockingly different. I don't like
anti-fascist.
Yeah, I don't like calling Chalyabol a fascist because he's
anti-fascist.
He is definitely working from the inside to undermine
the Trojan horse and the Trojan horse.
He is the
he quite literally is. Yeah.
So, and then we have like our next lead character. There's Nyan, who's an illegal refugee, who is from side 2. Implying that Zeon
she escaped Ifish.
Yeah, she escaped one of the colonies at side 2. Could have been Island Ifish. There's a non-zero chance that she is a homeless refugee because Zeon used her home as a projectile. Like, think about like
And it's not her first time in a robot.
Nyan was, to me, a really interesting character, and I think of the main cast, she's the one I wish we got more time with, almost the most.
She is such a traumatized and lost character, and she doesn't find a place for herself.
And when we meet her, you see the design, and it's kind of like, okay, this is going to be kind of your kudere character. And then she's kind of, oh, wait, she's kind of an adorable fail woman. And then it's like, oh no, she's a tooth and nail survivor.
She's a tooth and nail survivor and will bite your head off.
Uh-huh.
Literally.
Nyan was probably, of our new characters, I think she was the most engaging. And I love Machu to death. Nyan's situation is really clicked with me somehow. I don't know. You look like you disagree.
Haro. Sorry. No, it's because Chalia isn't a new character.
Yeah, Chalia's not a new character.
Technically.
I mean, because of how much more screen time he gets and even the redesign, he might as well be a new character.
He's a new character. He's baby girl Chalyabol in this version.
And then
I've been calling him baby girl since I read Origin.
And then there's
Sally can confirm this.
I can confirm you've been doing this. Yes. Of the main trio, the one that
Shuji is a take or leave.
Shuji is a very underbaked character, and that I don't like saying that because I really like this writing staff, I really like this director, I like a lot of things these people have worked on, but Shuji is really underbaked. I don't really get him entirely yet.
So what it's like, here's this. What it's like is we've got Nyan, who is after work Gundam X.
Uh-huh.
And we've got Machu, who is G Gundam.
Uh-huh.
And we've got Shuji, who is Gundam Seed.
Ouch. Ouch. On this channel, that's definitely an ouch.
There's a great concept there.
They kind of
shoots himself in the face.
They kind of want him to be male Haruko.
Exactly, that's why I'm saying that.
There's a good concept there, but then the part of the problem is that the series is already very short, and he's not in half of it, which makes it even harder to connect with him.
In terms of dialogue, he's in almost all of it.
Yeah, but
like, if we go that way, Lala's in all of the UC.
Exactly. It's he.
I will say the most compelling character is a tiny demon girl who we love, who likes fires. Best new character.
Who are we talking about?
Let's set the brothel on fire, bitch.
Oh yeah, the two maids. Okay. We'll get to... So, the series is kind of broken into I guess, two main plot threads, plus the flashbacks, so a third plot thread, which is...
I would say 3.
Okay. Which is a lot to cram into 12 episodes.
There's the Mavs.
Yeah.
There's the initial, and then there's the Rose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we have the... establishing what a MAV is and what how this alternate timeline works.
I know it's like a 5 and a 2 and a...
No, that's fair. And then we have the clan battle thing, of illegal underground mobile suit fighting.
That's the MAV thing.
Yep, okay. And then after things go to hell with the clan battle thing, we basically get the conspiracy with the Rose and with Zeon.
Yeah, we get this island to Earth, but not. I'm joking.
There's a little... This series is the first Gundam that I will say, I don't want to... So I want to be...
It's the first Gundam to reference Zabungle.
That's not true, and you know it.
I just wanted to say Zabungle.
No, this is... And I'm trying to... Part of it is that I kind of want to front load some of my negativity, because overall I do think this is a good series, but there are very big problems. And one of the biggest problems is the episode count.
Yeah.
Because there's all that stuff that we just talked about, and it's crammed into 12 episodes, and crammed is absolutely the word for it.
It could use 3 more.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, even 1 more.
Even 1 more, just to give it room to breathe, would have been nice. I don't like saying that, because these are... the head writer and the director are masters of doing things in a limited time frame. Diebuster and Footy Cootie. They did both of those. Both of those are 6 episodes. So it's not like they don't know how to work within a really limited run. Mm-hmm. There's just so much.
There's a lot there.
And maybe there was a...
The problem was the 6 main characters.
Yeah, the opening shows off the 3 mains you talked about, Chalia, and then Zeon, Ace, Xavier,
and Neroli, who is
Komali. Yeah,
Komali. Look, I didn't know her name.
Yeah.
In fact, I said a different name from a different thing that guy wrote.
I can't even hold it against you, because Komali is... I don't like saying
A
that she
non-entity.
doesn't. Yeah, I cannot tell you anything about Komali aside from the fact that she's apparently stern and by the book,
And the
and
world's worst new type.
yeah, they established that she's a new type in the last couple episodes, and that is purely so that one other person can do exposition, and that's her entire purpose, and it kind of sucks because she has a really good character design, but she doesn't contribute at
Anything.
anything.
It was like it would have made more sense to call the sixth protagonist Char.
Char, yeah, or Lala. We'll get to that. Yep. Um, so the first half of the series, we have the clan battle stuff, and
But Char running in the OP would have been good.
I would have liked that. Yeah. Um. So the clan battle half, I really enjoyed that part.
I enjoyed it.
I think it worked really well. It kind of kept the scale kind of reined in. Uh,
It helped with the quickly ramping up trauma
yes.
for Machu, because what was necessary for Machu was honestly to traumatize her and to expose her to the horrible fucking things that new types had to go through.
Machu is put into a position where she can learn to pilot mobile suits in a setting that doesn't necessarily encourage to killing the opponent.
Where death isn't the standard.
Yes. But then it sets up really well the gulf in experiences when you realize that Nyan and Shuji are killers and Machu isn't.
Again, 0 kill streak.
0 kill streak, yeah. Nyan
has a 100% kill streak.
Nyan, it's kind of shocking when she finally gets behind the wheel of the Quuuuuux and fights, and it's like, oh wow,
She's
she's
one of those
scary
people
good.
who like will go on in one of those movies, you know, the kind of movies where the lady gets like an axe or something, and she just goes ham, and then she just like tilts back and cackles because she's so happy after doing the thing.
Yeah, it was. There was some uncomfortable internet
was full
thirst
yawn.
for yandere Nyan. Yeah.
Nyande.
We got some, and even that. There's also some fun world building. Like we see. I know you're not a fan of this one, but we gotta acknowledge it. That since Zeon stole the Gundam, instead of the Gelgoog being the Zeon knockoff of the Gundam, it looks like a gym because they just reverse engineered the Gundam. They didn't have to knock it off. Or finding out that the black Tri-Stars, after Char got the
Have
Gundam,
these lit ass domes?
that they never became the legendary pilots, so they're just kind of some guys. And God, the mech redesigns are really cool.
Sign me up for those domes.
I know that the mechs were kind of a point of controversy early on. I'm not.
The only ones I really don't like are the Zagus.
I can see that the Zaku there is something a little weird about it.
I don't like the thigh gap.
I like the
the thigh gap is weird to me.
I like Red Gundam. I like White Gundam for that matter.
And again,
I like it.
I can't do their RX-78.
I like it's effed up. I like that you can see the belts that feed the Vulcan guns running down its neck. It's so effed up, and I love it. Like, it's kind of body horror-y, so I liked it.
But like all these other beautiful things,
the Quuuuuux itself is a really interesting design. It is busy. It is complicated. I like it though.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I don't know how well high grades are going to be able to capture how complicated these suits look. I'm not.
Thank you, Mercury, for this being a thing. making all those pieces more accessible and easier to do because Rio Grades made that easier and more accessible to do. Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, but we're definitely getting some new Gundam markers before we
Yeah.
when we get the any Quox models, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
oh boy.
There's gonna be a lot of custom painting on those.
So we get that first half that's very that it has them clan battling,
And then it ramps up with an air conditioner.
So they ended on this shocking kind of what almost felt like could have been a mid-season finale, and I saw some people felt like the show jumped the rails at that point, and while I don't agree, I understand where they're coming from, because then we get some Zeta characters show up. Yeah, like you said, the air conditioner. We get a...
What's his name?
Gates Kappa. I got really excited because I got Gates Kappa from Zeta.
Cele was screaming.
I was screaming because Gates Kappa just kind of fucking disappears in like the 47th or 48th episode of Zeta, and then they just never acknowledge him again. And like...
I'm assuming he was one of the real rock guys.
It was crazy getting him back. We get another girl from the Murasame Labs and Murasame and a really cool Psycho Gundam redesign, but don't get attached to them.
You know, people were bitching about that Psycho Gundam, but I'm also sitting here going, it's actually a very logical leap in terms of technology from where they're going.
I liked that Psycho Gundam design, including its scumbag
armor.
Scumbag armor and scumbag shades on its face. I liked
it was just scumbag.
It was very scumbag. Also, the Hammurabi redesign was really cool. I was on board for that.
Hey, look, guys! Something from Zeta!
And that same episode, we get a really cool Gyan redesign that I'm very fond of.
Gyan, but make it thick.
Yeah. And give it a lance. Because if there's anything I love, it's a mech carrying a lance. I get weird about it.
Like I said, Gyan, but make it thick.
And that's... But that whole fight, we really get a turning point for the show. Machu finds out that the people funded...
Machu gets a gun.
Yeah, Machu gets a gun. She finds out that the people funding their mobile suit team are planning to double-cross them, and Machu's planning to double-cross them herself because she wants to steal a bunch of money so that she, Nyan, and Shuji can immigrate off of the colony. There's a heated exchange. Everything goes to hell because the Titans start doing Titan stuff.
And Shuji gets zecked.
Yeah, Shuji disappears just like Char did. And...
Oh, what the Zek?
They call it a Zek Nova. We probably should have... Well, if you're fine with spoilers, you already know it's a Zek Nova. So he disappears. Great. So now we kind of... The story splits, and this is the back end. This is probably the part that I maybe needed more episodes the most.
Neon stuff?
Neon stuff, yeah. Neon gets recruited by Cassilia. That's probably fine. And Machu gets arrested by Chalia.
Which is probably fine.
Which is literally probably. The other thing worth mentioning is that they definitely establish a love triangle thing between Shuji, Nyan, and Machu,
and if you didn't understand this scene, get out.
Yeah, say what you will about lazy two girls, one guy love triangles. That's fair, but this scene is legitimately one of the best explorations of dumb hormonal teenagers since the original Footy Cootie. I will defend the shit out of this scene.
Yes, you have to look at the video for that one. I'm sorry.
because it just is. This is one of the best bits of this is just one of the best bits of hormonal teenagers being stupid and like very sincere since the original Footy Cootie. In some ways, this was a better Footy Cootie sequel than the actual Footy Cootie sequels, and it was definitely a better Gunbuster sequel than whatever that terrible Tribuster was that Gynax was threatening us with before they went under. So, yeah. So that's a thing.
It's a better Gunbuster sequel in more ways than one. You'll find out later.
But so Shuji's kind of off the board for a bit, and our two girls get drastically different paths. We put Nyan in this kind of as Cassilia's new type protege child. And
because if you weren't aware, Cassilia can't have kids.
Yeah, apparently that's a thing that they just...
No, that was actually there.
Was that always there?
Yeah.
I don't remember that being there.
It's not something that's important, but it was there.
Last episode, they imply she really wanted Aryan kids, which for a weird space fascist like Cassilia totally tracks, honestly. Gross.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna have to go back and
Origin.
I have to revisit Origin. I mostly remember her creeping on young Char.
Yeah.
So we get this whole... So yeah, we have Nyan becoming Cassilia's new favorite baby new type, and Machu, much to Komali's chagrin,
is endeared to Chalia.
Yeah, Chalia immediately thinks that she should be handled with kid gloves and let to do basically whatever the hell she wants. And she does.
Give the kid a gun, it's fine.
Oh no, this teenager
she escaped jail. No.
I hope she doesn't go to Earth to find that thing we're looking for.
She's very good at this. Chalia is a very good babysitter.
He is a very good... I'm not even joking. Chalia, I guess the other thing that we should mention is that the big thing from that they established in the first half is the idea of the MAV. The, wingman.
Mm-hmm.
For mobile suits, and that apparently has a deeper meaning for...
Yeah, it's not quite like in Top Gun, but it's like in Top Gun.
It complete with the homoerotic subtext, frankly.
Yeah.
So Chalia was Char's Mav.
That one was hella gay.
That
was very, very close to being text.
It was frustratingly queer-coded, and then they did nothing to pay it off, and I felt baited, I'm not gonna lie.
They took that scene with Garma, but they switched it with... Yeah.
Yeah, Char doesn't meet Chalia in a well-lit room like in the 70s show. It's, with warm lighting, and, they're drinking
very
wine
fucking
together.
Manilow.
It's a lot. So, Chalia is searching for Char. He's also looking for something else. Machu finally escapes down to Earth. She thought that going to Earth would make her, feel free and all that. Lo and behold...
she meets a Lala.
She meets a Lala. An emphasis on a Lala, because, yeah.
And Lala is the, favorite of the brothel.
Mm-hmm. And
which, if you don't remember, from
Origin.
That is...
And also the novels, for that matter.
And also the novels, that is where she was. Because Char fell in love with her. And took her from there.
She has these two little anarchist maids, who we love.
Share my post.
Yep. We love them very much. They burn shit. Machu has this pretty meaningful new type connection with Lala.
And Lala refuses to leave.
Yeah, which is... I can understand that was pretty, heartbreaking, because you don't want her in this situation. But sure enough, the thing on Earth, is also a Lala.
Yeah, the Rose of Sharon.
The Rose of Sharon turns out to be,
The Elmeth.
The Elmeth, yeah. So Zeon, we hear the Zeon officers talking about this thing, the Rose of Sharon, and then it turns out it's the Elmeth, and not like a Quox redesigned Elmeth, like just straight up the Elmeth that you know and love from the 1979 show.
I really hope this means that I get a model kit of the fucking Elmeth.
We are overdue for a new Elmeth model. That's all and there's a different Lala sleeping inside of it. Oh god, we've opened the multiverse door. Oh. Oh.
Yep.
And after this, things kind of spiral toward toward a finale. Nyan, now being Cecilia's favorite little new type, is on a second G Quuuuuux called the G Fred. The Gfred.
The Gundam Fred.
The Gundam Fred. I love the G Fred. So, it's
purple.
It's colored in purple, green, and orange, and I can't think of any robots that any of the people who worked on this show, even tertiarily, would feature that color scheme. It was very original and nothing I've ever seen before. Definitely didn't remind me of whose studio was animating this.
Yeah, so it was the person who designed the rebuild Avas.
Yeah.
Who designed the redesigns of the Universal Century robots, if you couldn't tell.
And
by now.
And yeah, here we get the
By the way, the gun cannon was going to be lit. Gun tank too. Look at this thing.
I love another one of the, while we're talking about the gun cannon, another thing that I love about this timeline is that because the Gundam was stolen, the Federation decided to lean entirely into gun cannons. So after...
Rookie mistake.
So, like, we see a big kind of more, like, hefty gun cannon like the one in the main timeline, but then for the rest of the war, we, both from character dialogue and from the little bits we see, like, these light cannons were a thing instead of gyms, and I kind of love them, not just because I finally got a Cele custom mobile suit, but that was absolutely a thing that I've wanted since I was 13, so yeah.
More on Cele later.
Unfortunate phrasing, because I have some thoughts there. Anyway.
Okay, and then Big Zoms show up.
Yeah. Well, we should say, so Zeon has a solar ray project, which should have people like,
Yog-Magneutho.
Yeah, the Yog-Magneutho, which is this, oh boy, it's a Gundam super weapon. We gotta get that thing introduced.
It looks a lot like a certain other thing that they did.
The Yog-Magneutho is, they say that it's for an energy project, just like Palpatine would, but it's...
very clearly a death laser of some sort.
It's clearly a death laser, and it's got tons of big zoms around it, and it's just...
Six
big zoms. And it turns out big zoms are no match for the G-Fred and a whole bunch of Gyans. So...
yeah.
Gyans up the wazoo.
And Gyans are a new type suit.
Yeah, Gyans have become like the official suit of the new type Corps in this timeline, which is... I'm not gonna lie, I like the Gyans. It was cool seeing the Gyan.
See, when the G-Fred showed up, I was like, good Freddy or not.
We don't get much Giran. They talk about him a lot, but then the first episode appears in...
they talk about him a lot. He shows up. His baby mama gets jiggly on screen and dies.
Yeah, they Both Giran and his secretary Cecilia show up, but yeah, they get killed. Like, Cecilia murders her brother again.
Yay!
Hooray! So Cecilia mounts this coup and sends Nyan into the heart of Yog Magnutho. Turns out that the weapon on it is powered by the Rose of Shiran, the Elmeth from another timeline. They blow upify the all of Abawaku. So Yog Magnutho is the big threat. Chalia isn't about to just let this slide though, so he
deploys in his hamburger.
Yeah, he deploys in his
space hamburger.
In his not Browbro, the hamburger with lasers, and encourages the teenager Machu to go out alongside him.
And she doesn't have her emotional support Heat Hawk.
She doesn't have her emotional support Heat Hawk, which is, yeah. So because Machu steals the Gundam from Xavier in the first episode, she doesn't have like the weapons it's supposed to be equipped with. So for like the first half of the show, her main tool is a Heat Hawk she stole from Azaku, and I find that really endearing for some reason.
Because it's great.
Yeah, so we get this big confrontation, and he's been missing for long enough, but he has returned. Char comes back.
In a green suit.
In a green suit and hentai protagonist Hidden Eyes hair.
And just generally being a twat. You know, like Char.
I realized what a comic girly I am when he reveals himself to Cecilia and he slicks his hair back, and I'm like, oh no. That's really cool. Kind of attractive. I love that.
And then I gave you the face.
You did give me the face. I deserved it.
You're going to find it in a Gundam somewhere, and you're going to use that face here.
I will. And yeah, so now we're getting to we're getting to the end, and this is a lot of the stuff that we just watched. Red Gundam reappears. Machu finally meets Char, this guy who she read about and is kind of overwhelmed by kind of, someone who she vaguely hero worship just appearing.
And she watches him do a magical girl transformation sequence.
Because apparently...
Into the Red Comet.
Which is kind of our first hint that the Lala from another dimension has basically been shaping this world to her will, and so forces Char back into the costume that she best remembers him in.
Magical girl.
Shuji reappears after Char gets back in Red Gundam.
Like a bitch.
Like a bitch, yeah. And
see, again, Gundam Seed.
And Shuji announces that that he wasn't actually from this universe. He was from another universe. He was, and his main goal is to end Lala's suffering, and so he summons the ultimate weapon. The ultimate weapon. The ultimate baby. No, not the ultimate. He summons the original Gundam, and I don't mean the redesign of the original Gundam that Char painted white.
We mean awkward misanimation Gundam.
Yeah, they did their best to make it look vaguely 70s anime.
It has
Gundam.
Weird foibles.
It has weird foibles. It does a bunch of the famous poses and stuff.
It is one of the stretchiest maquettes I've ever seen.
I'm proud. I'm glad they went for it. I really am. And so our finale has
two fancy new Gundams versus an old Gundam.
That Shuji calls the real Gundam. And I do love the subtext of this boy gatekeeping these Gundam from these two literal newcomers to Gundam girls, and saying that his 70s Gundam is the real one.
Gundam Seed.
Okay, I see where you're going. Um,
Literally the worst. Like, in terms of character development, he's going full freedom here.
yeah, that's true. It's very. I kind of wish when they did that reveal, and we'll get into that one with wrapping up thoughts. I really wish they would have just had Shuji just go full villain, but they Haruko him.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this finale, and we're wrapping things up, and then I want to kind of do an analysis as we we get Nyan and Machu finally make up and decide to be Mavs for each other. So the Fred and the Quawks get to fight side by side. So, some really cool animation for that. Credit where credit is due. Shalia initially decides to carry out the original plan he had with Char, and they work together to destroy Caselia's Shive, complete with Char doing the same...
You mean her ship from Zabungle?
Yeah, her Zabungle painted Shive. Complete.
So this is where the Zabungle reference was the whole time.
Complete with Char doing the same pose with the red Gundam that he does in the original series to kill her.
Followed immediately with the shit from last shooting.
Yeah. Because Chalia suddenly confronts Char, saying that he can't let Char be the new leader because he thinks he'll go off the rails and become a weird dictator. Fair. That is a fair assumption, Chalia.
That is very close to what would happen.
That is basically guaranteed.
Because you're not in the timeline where he becomes a weird, sleeveless stoner.
Chalia also, part of it is that there's just so much crammed into that last episode. Chalia even mentions that he has people ready to rally behind Lady Artesia, aka Sayla, Char's sister, and yeah, so it's like, okay, so he was already planning for this, not to put Char in charge, and now he's worried Char will be in charge, so they kind of destroy each other's suits. We were worried Nyan was going to get squashed. And thankfully, her core fighter worked. So Homegirl's fine.
By the Spiral King.
The Gundam, yeah, the RX-78 eventually just gets big for some reason. Again,
Spiral King?
I'm willing to, yeah, it's more than a little Gurren Lagann or Evangelion-y.
It's less Evangelion.
I'm willing to give it some...
I'm doing the shield thing that...
Yeah, okay. I'm willing to give it some leeway in that we already know that the interdimensional Lala is warping reality. So I'm willing to give it some leeway, but if you're a real robot hardcoreist, you're probably going to be upset, and in which case, I can't help you. In
which case, I need to remind you that Char is a Matzinger girly.
Yeah, who used the Matzinger Z to blow the Gundam's head off originally.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
really, look at this.
Yeah, look at the Zeong. You're welcome.
These two pictures, they're the same picture.
And then we finally get the full clarification in this episode that, along with a pretty beautiful reanimation of the Elmeth Gelgu Gundam G-Fighter fight, that this...
Complete with different voices.
Yeah, we get the reveal that this Lala was
survived.
Survived because Amuro killed Char during that fight. And that the shock of it made, like, Lala's new type abilities mixed with the Psychomu system and the Elmeth basically let her recreate reality over and over again.
Because it resonated with not only the loss of Char, but also with the shock in Amuro. It was just a threefold what.
And so she's just been Homura-ing her way through timelines, trying to create one where Char doesn't die. And Which by the side note, I think that was a really clever and good decision because it makes it so that the original series that we know and love is still
A thing.
a special one.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the Lala from that timeline. This isn't the Amuro or Char from that timeline. This is still a different. So it still makes our main timeline a special one. I'll put it that way.
I will say that Machu is the Homer at Homura.
Absolutely. And the hardcore Madoka fans are gonna love that.
The 5 of you who
all
read that book.
5 of you who understood that references are like, hell yeah.
High five, because we love each other.
I don't know what the crossover is between hardcore Madoka fans and hardcore Gundam fans, but
it's higher than 1.
This is definitely part of what that looks like, though. So, yeah, here we are. So, with that reveal, Machu new type confronts Shuji and says to him that if he loves Lala so much, it's not something that he should keep bottled up inside.
If you love her, let her go.
Yeah. Also, if you love her, let her go.
Also, I love you, Shuji.
And yeah, literally,
I've known you for 3 months.
If even that.
And I'm 14.
And then, yeah, we literally the same scene as Furikuri. She, like where you expect her to deliver the finishing blow. Yeah, she Naotos. And she kisses Shuji. Nauta, pardon me. Takun, yeah.
Takun.
But then she does manage to defeat the ginormous Gundam, reluctantly banishing Shuji, and they safely send Lala back to her.
Not without a wonderful cameo from Counterattack Amuro.
Yeah, there's a very brief Amuro in there, and they do briefly mention that the Quox was made with parts from the other universe that they
one of the other universes.
Yep, from one of the other universes, and it sure seems like it's the more mature Amuro. Unfortunately, this means if you're watching the Japanese version, you do have to hear actual Sex Pest Toru Furia's voice, which sucks, but you know.
But the importance of that character actually makes sense at that point.
It does. I'm just
it's just he's gross.
It's one of those things where on one hand I get it, but also I don't want to let it slide in a new thing. It's one thing if I'm rewatching Sailor Moon or Original Gundam, but it's another thing if it's a show that came out in 2025. So yeah, that's
at least it was only one line.
Yeah, thankfully.
But yes, you do get to see Amuro literally protecting a child. Which is finishing his character arc.
Yes.
Which no one on your channel, I believe, has heard me go through my rant of Char versus Amuro, but that is the end game for Amuro's story arc, is fatherhood.
Yes, it's the biggest letdown of the movie version of Char's Counterattack was that the studio made Tomino remove the part where Amuro is supposed to be an expecting father versus Char being a horrible, horrible surrogate father to Quest. It's... And
so this actually does bring in the full circle of this is Amuro's correct ending.
I like that.
He's still reaching his correct ending from the right timeline.
I really like that. I guess I didn't even think of it that way, and I'm really glad you brought that up. I like that read.
So, I do think it is technically still a sequel to Char's Counterattack.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Complete with they use
the song.
They use TM Network's Beyond the Time as the boss music when the RX-78 shows up, which is, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty neat.
You can change your destiny.
And so
sorry. That song, in case you didn't know.
And the series ends. They still manage to get an epilogue in, which they mostly do pretty well. We get Xavier guilts Chalia into not just surrendering.
You killed her. You have to do this now.
And having him be and encouraging him to still shepherd in a safer future for new types. Char tells Chalia, whatever I'm doing next, I'll make sure it's not something that makes you want to kill me again, and takes off in the core fighter like the little bastard he is. Kind of love that for him.
Like the little twat he is.
We do get to check back in with the Machu and Nyan's
on the
sponsors.
Beach.
I was gonna.
With the sponsors, and of course they have a Zoc.
We finally got a Zoc
My
cameo.
Boy!
Zoc Nation rise up, but yeah, and
he's covered in stickers, so he's a Deco Zoc.
But like you were gonna say, we get to see Machu and Nyan on the beach, which is a nice bringing things full circle, because Machu and Nyan were shooting the shit early in the series before they knew things were going to get this bad, that they wanted to go to Earth and like go swimming, and they finally get to do that, and now Machu is still considered like a criminal, so she can't go home. So she and her refugee bestie kind of are in the same boat. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna...
Char makes Lala cry.
Yeah, Char finds this Lala and
makes her cry,
and
no words were spoken, but
I've already talked to some people who weren't sold on that scene, and I have to admit, it worked for me. I teared up a bit.
Of course he was going to go find her.
It made sense.
Why wouldn't he? He had a connection with the other Lala.
And then, and Machu said, excuse me.
And then...
Yeah.
Rambaral survived.
We get a brief cameo by Rambaral at what appears to be the coronation of Artesia Zome Daikun, a.k.a. Salem Moss, as the new leader of the Principality of Zeon, presumably leading them into not a dictatorship and into a decent...
into a decent place, because if ever there was a fucking socialist... if ever there was a fucking democratic socialist in Gundam, it's Salem Moss.
She's not a fan of... I'm used to Sayla being a bit more of an agent of chaos. Like, my beloved scene in the Origin manga when, at Abawaku, when she crashes, instead of becoming a POW, she finds people who are loyal to Daikun and gets infighting going between the Daikunists and the Cassilia followers.
I know what I said.
Yeah, okay. So, that was brief.
This is when you put Bernie Sanders up.
Would have liked... we'll get... And the show wraps up on a pretty happy note. Machu thinks that she and Nyan are going to see Shuji again.
I hope not.
But that's... So we've done that summary. I know that was a long summary, guys, so thank you for sticking with us. But I felt like it was necessary to kind of give a...
But it is absolutely wild to think that that Axis shock led to G Quuuuuux.
Yeah. It both within the story and outside the story, because that was the first thing that Hideaki Anno, the first Gundam Hideaki Anno officially worked on. So that's... He designed the Rail Lula. I know I've mentioned that before, but it's...
But I do think that counterattack Char might have been on the thread.
I could see that.
Remember, they were working in sync.
True.
If there is anything that if there's anything that Char and Amuro in counterattack is 3 degrees from lovers.
Yeah, Tamino himself basically said the same thing. So,
if Amuro wasn't straight.
So on that note, So now that, since we've kind of given the summary, and thank you everyone for sticking with us through the summary, maybe I'll include a time code. So
yeah, we'll have a time code.
So if you've already watched the show, you
skipped
to...
that.
Yeah, if you skip the summary, welcome to analysis portion. So now that we're at the end of the series, I really had a good time. I do think it was a mess in places.
I have a question for you. How many Gundam series have a legitimately happy ending?
Let's see. A G Gundam? Would you say Unicorn had a happy ending? I feel like it had a happy ending. It didn't make a lot of sense in places, but it had a happy ending.
Bittersweet.
Yeah. But
there's a lot of bittersweet in Gundam.
Most Gundam endings are pretty bittersweet, if I'm gonna be honest. Like
we're looking at the Gundam shelf.
Yes.
We haven't finished watching X yet. And I'm not gonna say Turn A has a pristinely beautiful ending because it's a sad goddamn ending.
Turn A has a really beautiful ending because for some characters it is very happy, but for others it's extremely bittersweet. And I love
Sochi, who is my cat.
Yeah, you named your cat after the character who spends the last episode just wailing, and it's such a beautiful scene.
Double O ends.
Depends on which ending we're talking, because Season 1 ending, extremely bittersweet. Season 2, hopeful.
Hopeful, and Patrick is alive.
And
married.
Movie, Aliens.
The movie doesn't have an after-credit sequence.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot to acknowledge that.
Yeah, there isn't an after-credit sequence.
All of the Universal Centuries Tomino directed, are either sad or they're happy in ways that make me cry. Looking at you, the original series, I have watched the ending of Mobile Suit Gundam more times than I can count, and I've cried every single time.
Yeah, I guess the original Mobile Suit Gundam has a happy ending.
Yeah, I say I cry, but I'm crying tears of joy because Amuro is coming back to his comrades.
So it's 0079, G Gundam, and potentially After War Gundam X have happy endings?
I'm gonna tentatively Unicorn as well, but everything else I'm like, Zeta, no one's gonna call that a happy ending.
I'm gonna say Unicorn does not because Phoenix is directly after it.
I guess that's fair. And
I feel like Phoenix is actually directly included and part of it.
And then, yeah, because if we include NT, then you got a bummer ending with Ghosts. Victory does not have a happy ending.
Does G-Savior have a happy enough ending?
G-Savior, you thought you were going to have well, Jack was having a bad day, but Mark's is about to get a whole lot worse.
Yes. Sorry, we're staring at our Gundam shelf going...
I feel like Wing has a pretty happy ending. I feel like Wing has a happy ending.
It has a pretty happy ending, but Endless Waltz makes it better.
That's fair, yeah.
Mostly because Relina got to hit a child.
And I also... Iron-Blooded Orphans rips your heart out and stomps on it. I would call G-Witch a really happy ending. I cried at the ending of that one, too.
I'd say that one's pretty bitter. It's a positive but bitter ending.
That's fair. I mean...
It's bitter mostly because they weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, if I could have seen the wedding, I'd be happier, but I think G-Witch did a really good job. But... yeah, so this is one of the rare Gundams with a happy,
objectively and happy ending.
Yeah, and I want to give it credit for that.
And someone who beat Lauren's kill streak of 1.
Yeah, the kill streak of 0. Good job, Machu. Proud of you, kiddo.
That's hard to beat.
So I'm looking forward to rewatching this show, and I am going to rewatch this show. I'm still willing to admit I think it was a bit of a mess in places.
Yeah, it was a mess. But it's a mess in that way that this director is used to.
It's an endearing mess. Yeah, I'm not. This is not a mess as
And
in I can't stand it, but
it's a Promar mess.
okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's like the message of Promar is Neon's character.
Very, very much so. Yeah.
And again, if you're looking to better understand Neon's character, just watch Promare.
Yeah, do that. Or Andor for that matter.
Yeah.
Honest.
No, Andor is just that's everyone. That's the whole. That's
all of Gundam.
That's all of Gundam.
But yeah,
except ironically IBO.
I don't wanna. It's one of those things where I'm already seeing people reacting, and we're recording this the day the last episode came out.
Because we have to.
Yeah, I want to get my thoughts out there while this is still hot, and to remind you guys that I'm still alive. But also...
And that Ramba Rala fly is fucking this outfit.
But, like, I don't want... The thing is, I've seen a lot of... I have seen a lot of negativity, and I think I don't necessarily disagree with where a lot of the negativity is coming from, but I don't think I land on that this was a bad series. I still really like it. I just think it's a mess, if that makes sense.
I think overall it was a lot more cohesive than some of the shows that exist.
No, that's fair.
Like,
I wish it was 13 episodes even, though. Even one more episode would have done them so much good.
And if people are complaining about filler, one, they don't know what filler is.
Absolutely not.
Two, they did not get mad at Aki's brother.
Akihiro's brother.
In IBO. Which was the biggest waste of time.
Oof.
It could have been a one episode thing.
That's fair. I guess so where I'm at, the things that I wish would have been better explored, I really wish Shuji was a more developed character. Because I just never really got a good feel for who Shuji was.
I mean, I think I liked him better huffing paint.
Yeah, when he was the weird paint huffing art hobo as opposed to actually he's the end boss of the show.
Yeah, when he was go for it Domon W instead of Gundam Seed.
Fair.
I am making references that, again, if you know, you know. If not, then I'm so sorry.
You're being as impenetrable as this show is to newcomer.
Isn't that the point?
Meanwhile, Machu I really like. I like that she has a very
She's me.
That's also fair. She has a very developed sense of right and wrong, but you don't come from the privileged background she does.
No.
So it's...
The only way that my life is privileged, like, that is I don't come from a family that was close to war.
Fair.
And, like, yours.
When I look at...
That's the big difference.
When I really liked Machu as a character. I really wish you could have spent more time with her. Again, I really liked Nyan. I thought she worked phenomenally well. Chalia Bull is, as you said, is easily one of the standouts.
Thank you, everyone, for telling me that one of my favorite characters from 0079 is fantastic, because I was right the whole time.
I liked this take on Chalia. He went from being a one-off episode villain to one of my favorite mentor characters in the whole franchise, and I think he's phenomenal.
He was always a cutie.
I liked this take on Char. I thought
less of a twat than normal.
I thought it was interesting. I thought he still felt like the Char that I know and want to throw things at. But yeah.
If I could kick him down the stairs, I would.
I'm a little bit disappointed Machu never kicked him. I was really hoping that she would, like, just kick him once.
Almost hit him with her head.
Yeah, that was fun. I loved that.
We did get a full no-no sequence with her.
We did.
and him. So like that happened.
So the Pomeranians team, the clan battle team that Machu, Nyan, and Shuji are on at the beginning of the
The
series,
guys who ended up with the Zoc.
they had some really fun supporting characters, and I am a little bit sad that they disappeared from the show after. I understand why, because the clan battle portion wasn't the story anymore at that point. But I really
And
did
they
like
have no
them.
reason to. They had no reason to comment on what was going on.
True.
There was no way for them to comment on what was going on other than reacting to the news.
And like similarly, like we look at Xavier and Comely. Xavier is our loser Xeon pilot who's actually way more dignified than most loser villains get, except for the fact that Machu steals the Gundam from him because he left the cockpit open and she's a little chaos gremlin.
And he saw her panties.
So
Shorts.
yeah, she wears boy shorts. It's fine.
I know.
And Xavier, I think there was another really interesting character there I wish we could have spent more time with. We already mentioned I was really disappointed with Comely. I don't know.
Comely we could have skipped.
I don't know why she's in the opening so much. She doesn't contribute basically anything, but she gets to run with the other main characters in the OP.
Yeah, could have skipped it. I think it was just highlighting the new types
You're probably right.
that weren't in the Pomeranians.
Yeah. I did like the artistic choice that new types have two-tone eyes.
I pointed that one out.
You pointed that one out, and I'm glad you did. It's very cool.
Even going so far as to show Cassilia's two-toned eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The mech battles were suitably entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I really did enjoy the fight sequences that we got. They were...
Oh, my hair stood on end when the domes did the thing.
Rightfully got jet stream attack in.
I got so excited.
I'm probably going to... The only piece of merch we've bought from this so far is a plush Haro, who's on screen right now. But,
I'll have Sally link to the artist who did this hat.
But I'll probably, I'll probably buy models from this, because I did like the mech designs a lot. There's enough
pre-order dome, pre-order dome, pre-order dome.
Yeah, that can be done. I'm
dancing, there's a dome.
If this series has suffered of anything, it was the one I'm worried that a hype around it, and especially immediately following Witch from Mercury, like where we might have had some new Gundam fans, like following it up with a show that's completely impenetrable if you haven't seen the original, is kind of a... I don't know if that was a great choice on Bandai's part. And two, I just hate modern anime seasons. I hate these 12-episode seasons. I hate them so much. I would like to go back to 24 to 26. That would be really cool. I know we're not gonna, but that would be cool.
So it was okay, so when was the last UC thing other than this?
Hathaway in 2021.
Okay. Which...
Oh, excuse me, the last...
Origin. Nope. It was,
Requiem for Vengeance was the last UC thing.
I don't count that.
Requiem for Vengeance was the actual last UC release.
I count that as the shittiest Gundam Evolve.
That's fair. Yeah, I think the last...
It has competition.
I think the last UC release was Hathaway.
Not Dawn's Cuckoo's Island?
Oh, crap. Where... Yeah, I guess Dawn did come out. Yeah, Dawn did come out more recently. I'm sorry, I got them mixed up for a second.
Dawn's Cuckoo's Island, and then before that was Witch from Mercury, then Hathaway, then...
Yeah.
IBO?
No, between IBO and that there was some build stuff, and there was NT was in there, so
Okay.
But yeah, it there hasn't been a lot of, and of course there's the TV re-edit of Origin.
And I forgot Freedom.
Yeah, Seed Freedom is in there. So, well, that was after a bunch of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying Universal Century, so
Yeah, I
throw
was
in
trying to do the skip between the order you see not, you see not, you see not.
there. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. I I think it's cool that they tried to hide the big surprise that this is an alternate universe thing. I just hope that it didn't scare too many new people away. If that makes sense. On the upside, it has been making a whole bunch of people I know watch the original Mobile Suit Gundam for the first time, which is excellent.
And them not realizing how gay Char is.
Well, no one does until they watch it, and then they're just, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Char is almost explicitly gay until he meets Lala.
like shipping dynamics aside, though, original Mobile Suit Gundam is just one of my favorite TV shows ever, because it's just a really well made show. Like, even it is a tightly made show that, even though you can cut several episodes out of it, re-edit it into 3 movies, and it still makes sense as a story, it doesn't change the fact that when you watch the full version with every episode, including the ones that were cut out, in there, it is just one of the most enjoyable, well-made, well-written war shows ever.
28. 28.
It, yeah. Good example. Episode 28. There's so many good episodes in Mobile Suit Gundam.
There's so many good episodes in Mobile Suit Gundam, and yet I know the number from my favorite episode.
But, like, that's the thing, is that, like,
I will have to double check and make sure.
It's one of those shows, though, one of the things that's really magical about Mobile Suit Gundam is that it tells a serialized story, but even, like, single standalone episodes are just great pieces of television, beginning, middle, and end. You don't have to watch the entire series to appreciate how good the individual episodes are. So the fact that this show is inspiring people to go back and watch the original makes me really happy, because I have friends who aren't normally classic mecha people.
Yeah.
And they're watching this low budget sci-fi anime from 1979, and it makes me so happy.
Everyone, I want to know your opinions on the WAPA. I want to know your opinions on the WAPA. I want to know your opinion on the Grabro, and I want to know your opinions on the Zaccarello.
That's your...
Tell me.
Rena wants to know about your favorite Xeon mechs.
No, I want to know about those 3 things.
About those 3 Xeon mechs, excuse me. Even though the WAPA should be your favorite.
I wouldn't call it a mech.
Oh, it's a mech. It will be. It will be.
It's an ant.
The Quox WAPA has, like...
Quappa.
The Quappa has, like,
No, I just want to have the Quokkas riding a giant WAPA.
So yeah. So we have come around another Gundam TV series on the books. I'm glad it exists.
And if for some reason you didn't understand the message of the show, I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna hold it against you. That sounds a little condescending.
No, it really is, and I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Because they're coming from a place of true privilege if they don't understand the message.
I mean, I can see that, yeah.
Or they're far out in the future and they don't have to live through what we're going through right now.
God. Yeah, okay, a couple other things I really liked. One, I love that in in the beginning of the Machu story, the first episode of the TV run, that we have a scene where these poor people say Zeon won the war and nothing changed for Space Noids, because it felt like such a validation of my theory with Gundam and reminding people that Zeon are still a bunch of fascist shitheads and they didn't actually care about colonial independence. And you can see it from even after they win, the colonies are still being treated like shit.
Zeon's still acting like demagogues.
In the words of...
Did I use the word right?
No. It needs to be a person can be a demagogue. You can't have the entire
Girin's
government.
acting like demagogue.
Yeah, there you go. In the immortal words of Pete Townsend, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah.
So that I really appreciated. And one last pet peeve, thing that I did not like. I gotta throw it out there. Thing I really didn't like. It was stupid that they were like the Kira, the sparkles that they see are new types are able to see Minovsky particles. I hated that. I thought that was so stupid, and I hate it so much.
Midichlorians.
I hate it so much. It's midichlorian bullshit again, and I hate it so much. I wish Cele got more screen time.
I just wish they would have called it the Tears of Time.
Yeah, they could have called it the Tears of Time. Then I would have still hated it, but I would have gotten a giggle out of it.
It's like, instead of that, just call them tears.
Yeah. You will see the tears of time. Oh, yeah, we said we were going to talk about... I'm a little confused by... I wish they would have either used Cele more, or... I don't know. It felt weird that they kept hinting at her and then gave her a crown at the end. It felt strange. I wish we could have gotten more Cele. That might just be me being a Cele girly, but...
Column A, column B?
Yeah.
Part of it comes from you have to know the source material.
Right.
Even better if you've read... When the character who's supposed to have all this development and whatnot is no longer allowed in the story because of scheduling conflict, and instead the proprietress of a boarding school for kids, you kind of lose the thread of Cele in the original timeline.
Yeah, she was kind of a victim of Tomino being so adamant that the same actress play the role.
Mm-hmm. And whereas here we actually get to see this character.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is why Origin might be incredibly important, at least the Char episodes.
Mm-hmm. So the part they animated.
The part that they animated. The Char bits are really important, at least up until the knight comes down the stairs. The living armor. Because at that point, they will have suffered their grievous loss.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll know what ties these two together. These two are star-crossed siblings. They're not allowed to be in the same place.
I also...
Yeah?
No, you're right. And I think that's also just something in Japanese media that's taken a lot more for granted, that I haven't really been acknowledging well enough, is when a piece of media comes out that's an ancillary piece to another more popular thing, they don't necessarily feel the need to catch up the audience on it because they just assume you know it. Like, the same can be said of, like, the original Sakura Tyson OVA, or
Silent Mebius.
Yeah, or Silent Mebius, or any really the Fate...
Anything from King of Braves.
I was going to say the Fate franchise half the time. Like, they just assume you know the lore around it, and they don't necessarily introduce it, and like that's...
Or Bakemonogatari.
Yeah, but like that's so like that's just a thing. Like I'm
there's a whole bunch of
that
extra stuff that makes the experience more complete.
Mm-hmm.
That because we have it, it makes it more complete. But being able to bounce these concepts off of each other for what we remember continues that bounce.
Yeah, and maybe that's a thing that
We gotta get Zect. That's what I'm gonna call,
that's
getting on the same wavelength.
We gotta get Zect. I love that. Okay. But yeah, that's overall, I'm glad I watched it. This wasn't I can't in good conscience say that I think of it as an all-timer like some of my favorite some of my other favorite Gundams, but I'm going to rewatch this cuz I did enjoy it. And I'm glad that they finally did the unthinkable and messed with the quote-unquote sacred Universal Century timeline. Like, because this took some big swings, and I respect that.
It took some big swings, and I loved it for that.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at you, gun cannon. But seriously, in terms of things, this is... I'm happy that there's another branching point so that Turne's not alone.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And there's a lot of...
That Turne after war and that those two things are not alone anymore.
Getting to play with what ifs with the Universal Century, I think that this could be promising. I will admit another thing that crossed my mind that now they had established early on that Zeon is strapped for cash, but I think I would have liked seeing some more original mech designs and not just redesigning the classics. Although the redesigned classics were so much fun, there was part of me that's like, what if they would have tried some new... Okay, I guess not. It's fine. I really did like the aesthetic for this. Not feeling like Universal Century is so sacrosanct we can't make any changes to it. I think that that's healthy. I think that's good for storytelling going forward.
And I think other properties in other forms of media need to listen to this, Transformers.
And on the same note, though,
Glares.
I really hope we don't pull a Star Trek and we're just going to be stuck with revisiting the 1 Year War even more so forever and ever. Because that will...
As great as Strange New Worlds is.
That would bum me out. Yeah. Strange New Worlds is great, but Prodigy and Lower Decks are also great. And I like that. So...
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's... I feel like that's good for first impressions. What do you think?
Yeah. I think I might have liked it more than you did.
I think you might have, and that's okay. The dub was really good.
Dub is fantastic.
The dub is really great.
Kyle McCarley had some 9S vibes at some points, but he's playing a little piece of shit, so it's fine.
It was weird hearing 9S's voice coming out of Char, but yeah. No, the dub was phenomenal. Like, Gundam dubs have been... Basically, ever since Unicorn, I feel like the Gundam dubs have been really top tier lately, and this continued that tradition.
NT's dub was one of my favorites.
NT's dub is so good. The actor playing Zoltan is
fantastic.
I love his read so much. I think I like him more than the Japanese actor, if I'm going to be honest. So yeah, I guess sorry, I can't believe I almost didn't mention the dub. Watch G Quuuuuux. If you watched it in Japanese already, rewatch it in the dub. You might be pleasantly surprised. And as always,
keep on spocking
in the free world.
Or the alternate dimension, whichever one's your pick.
On the other side.
Zek, Zek, Zek.
Zek Nova!